Jerry Wise, and this has been recommended to me, if your parent is a narcissist, I can explain your life in 8 minutes. So I'll just be honest. This will not apply to me because I've said it. I've been on record. I have amazing parents, like absolutely amazing parents. If you want like a perfect guide to what it means to be a father or a mother, or what it means to be a partner to someone, or I have like some of the greatest inspirations in my life. My parents, it's just grandparents, grandparents on my cousin's side. Like I've had so many. But yeah, I'm checking this out because it's just interesting because so many people do have their lives ruined because, well, there are parents that have kids that shouldn't have kids. Or, yeah, it's just they don't know what it means to be a parent.
If you were raised by a narcissistic parent, your life has been shaped in ways you might not even fully understand. But I can explain your whole life to you because the patterns they instilled in you are predictable. And once you understand these patterns, you can begin to get them out of you and reconnect with the real you. I'm Jerry Wise, and for over 45 years, I've helped hundreds of thousands of people get narcissistic.
I don't know. There's something wrong with me. I think I just processed like audio too quickly that I need to speed it up, but it sounded like he was talking slow.
Narcissistic and dysfunctional family patterns out of them so they can finally be their true self and find clarity, peace, and lasting freedom. Number one, you are emotionally controlled, not loved. Growing up in a narcissistic family, you were never emotionally safe. Your parents' love was conditional based on how well you met their needs. They would gaslight you, twisting your reality.
Yeah, everything you do has to be in appeasement of them. The way you get approval, the way you get like I know this. Like, it's funny. Like this is just to me. Growing up in a great family, this stuff is just obvious. This stuff is just outright obvious. And like those who grow up in like Asian families where it's all about like the grades and approval like that. It's not to say that it's bad parenting to want your kids to excel, but when your entire approval of your child is wrapped around them succeeding in your eyes, that's where it becomes the problem. Like, that's what I mean. It's like I've had it at such an amazing compass in my life. My parents still guide me to this day. And the thing is, guess what? My parents treat me as an adult. I treat them as an adult. It's respect. It's understandable that respect is earned. And what's funny is like there are people who grow up in like these kinds of where respect is something that's it's not respect. It's authoritarianism. The family is run through authoritarianism because they're the parents. They deserve the right of rule, basically, in the household. Which it's funny because in my household, my parents understood that they could make mistakes. They would admit when they made mistakes. It's interesting, like talking to my mother now, going like, I wish I'd done this differently. I wish I would have done this differently. And you know what's great for someone who's in a relationship and wants a family in the future? It's positive influence. So it's like, you know what? My parents know, like, even though they did an amazing job raising us, teaching me that, well, maybe I can do just a little bit better. Not that I ever could do better than my parents, but the fact that there is always room for error. You just have to be honest with your children about it. Maybe not in the moment when they're kids. Maybe just try to correct it in the, like, if you notice you did something wrong, but after the fact, when they're adults, you go like, yeah, I did this, I did this, I did this. I should have done this differently. It's crazy how those who grow up in like manipulative families, and that's what they are. They're manipulative. You see it in like the pageant children, the ones whose parents force the kids to get like Botox injections or like drink, what is it? Mountain Dew and Red Bull mixed together. The go-go juice. That stuff. It's just crazy.
And making you feel guilty for things that weren't your fault. Your feelings were minimized and your emotional reality was constantly questioned. As an adult, you may still find yourself doubting your emotions, second-guessing your reality, or being overly sensitive to others' reactions. Emotional reactivity becomes your default. your true feelings hijacked by the family system. Number 2, you never felt good enough. Narcissistic parents set standards that were impossible to meet, no matter how hard you tried. Nothing was ever good enough. Their expectations shifted constantly, leaving you on a never-ending quest to prove yourself. As an adult, you may still struggle with self-doubt and feel like you've never measured up. The perfectionism they instilled in you can be suffocating.
And that's the funny thing, because my parents were okay with me being mediocre, because I was sick growing up, so it was already difficult. But me and my brothers were allowed free reign to do whatever we wanted. Not like in the sense of like drugs and alcohol and things like that, but like pursue whatever drove us. Pursue whatever drove us. Like me, I always had fascination in like computers and film and writing and just story structure. I had always had a drawing toward like a calling towards that. One of my brothers is great with numbers. Even so everyone has like their own calling. One is great with people. So they were able to get into positions that have aided them through life, but they don't have any lingering doubt or frustration with life, because we have self-confidence in ourselves, because we were raised to have self-confidence. I'm pretty sure it pisses off my wife sometimes with how I look at the world, because I'm probably a little overconfident. I think I've gone, like, I'm above and beyond my brothers even. Like, my brothers are content, but I'm like just happy. I'm just happy through life. Sure, it's like I would love to have a better job, but in the end, I'm just like, I'm happy with who I am. I know I'm in a great place in my life. Sure, finances are always a struggle, but I wouldn't change where I'm at for anything. Well, except maybe moving. That would be nice. That would be nice.
Making it difficult to feel secure or content with yourself, no matter what your achievements. It is common as an adult to really battle with a very internal, hypercritical voice. Number 3, you lacked emotional support. In a narcissistic family, empathy was absent. Your parent couldn't provide emotional support because they were too caught up in their own needs. This left you isolated and uncertain of how to process your own feelings, or even that you had any. You may find it hard to open up emotionally. Emotional dehydration is a term I like to use. It's common for those of us who were raised in dysfunctional families, who were raised by narcissistic parents. You may struggle with seeking support when you're struggling, because you were never shown what healthy emotional care looks like. Number 4, your self-worth is tied to external validation. Narcissistic parents often criticized or neglected their children, teaching them.
And I think it is more difficult. So, well, not more difficult. Because being in this kind of situation is incredibly like strenuous. But like for me, when I have something going on in my life, I have built up habits. I have built up things that I'm not even aware that I'm doing. Like slowly, as like my wife calls things out, I notice I'm doing things because maybe I'm not feeling, I'm feeling a little down. Maybe I'm getting hit with a bout of depression, and I'll just start doing something completely out of the blue, something different, which was became a habit forming for me when I was sick, and I didn't realize I was doing it, but I was allowed to have those outlets. The thing is, when it's like in this type of family, even if you tried to do something like that, you get ridiculed and criticized because you can spend your time doing what your parents want you to do. Making sure you study a bit harder for that extra grade. Making sure that you put a little more time into looking the part. Making sure you don't bring shame to the family. Like, you know, that kind of mindset. Where for me, it's like, even though I was down, I could always just creatively go and do something. Distract myself. Feel better. And I learned that from my father, because my father deals with like chronic pain. And for him, he'll go out and he'd start gardening. He'd start just watering the plants. He'd just be out in the yard, get lost in nature, and he'd feel just a little bit better. Not amazingly better, just a little bit better. And I like instinctively pick that up, but it's more difficult, especially for those in like manipulative families, to develop those habits later in life. So for someone like me, trying to talk to someone like that, it's difficult, because for me, it's like, well, just do this, just do this, just do this, just do this. Because in my head, that's how it works. Yo, cool.
That their worth was based on what others thought of them. You learned early on that external validation was the only way to feel valued. As an adult, you might find yourself constantly seeking approval from others. Whether in your career, relationships, or personal achievements, you struggle with low self-esteem, feeling like you're only worthy when others affirm you or look up to you. Number 5, you have difficulty trusting others. Narcissistic parents break trust early on. They lie, deceive, or simply dismiss your feelings, leaving you to question everything. This creates deep emotional scars that affect your ability to trust. As an adult, you might find it hard to open up to others, always wondering if they'll betray you or use your vulnerability.
It's funny hearing that because I was a kid. I was a kid when I started saying there are only 3 opinions that matter. I remember I was sick and I was with the family at a family trip over by the ocean, and I was just laying on the floor in the room because I was in pain and I just didn't want to move. So I was laying on the floor, and then I just had this thought in my head where it's just like, why do I care what my cousins think of me, what the random people on the beach think of me? Why do I care? I had that epiphany and I was like 13, 14 years old. I'd have to ask my mother. She'd probably know the exact date that took effect, where I just started walking around and doing things, even though I was in pain, even though I was just dealing with my own stuff. I was just like, because in my head, I was like, I don't feel good, but I am happy with where I'm at this point in time. I know I can possibly get better. And in my head, it's just like, God must love me. And at that point in time, instead of my significant other, it was like, my family cares for me. And then, because in the end, it's just good to have three opinions that you think are valuable and worth taking in. Should always be yourself, should always be a higher power, and it should always be like someone that truly means a lot to you in your life. At that point in time, it was like my family, and then it became my significant other. That's why I'm like, there's always 3, only 3 that truly matter.
Vulnerability against you. This chronic anxiety can make you feel like you're walking on eggshells in relationships. Number 6, you struggle with perfectionism and fear of failure. In a narcissistic family, the idea of making a mistake was terrifying. Anything less than perfect meant rejection or punishment or shaming. You were driven to be flawless to avoid their wrath. As an adult, you may struggle with perfectionism, feeling failure, and again, having harsh self-criticism. The pressure to always be perfect can lead to burnout or feelings of inadequacy, no matter how much you achieve. This also can lead to stress hormonal overload. And I think many of you have probably heard about that and read about that, how our hormones interact when we're stressed. And if you're stressed all the time or chronically, then you overuse those systems. Number 7.
And what's funny is like, I never really use them. It's like I'm like emotionally dead. I've flatlined emotionally. It pisses my wife off a lot because I'm like, because it's just like, I'm like emotionally dense. That's the right term, emotionally dense. So because I never really required that. I really never needed that in my life, or not in my life. No, it was just not something that, well, I got all the emotion I needed in my life. Like if I was in pain, I was heard. If someone else around me was dealing with something, they were heard. That's just how it was operated like normally for me. So for me, it just always made sense.
You have an inability to set boundaries. Narcissistic parents never respected your boundaries. Your emotional needs were always secondary to their needs. They taught you that your feelings didn't matter and that you had no right to assert yourself. As an adult, you may find it difficult to set healthy boundaries. You might feel drained, overwhelmed, or taken advantage of in your relationships, unable to protect your emotional space, and also to manage your stress. This is a result of enmeshment, where your sense of self was swallowed up by their needs. Your sense of self was engulfed into the family's super self. Number 8, you experience chronic anxiety and hypervigilance. Growing up in a narcissistic family,
perfection problem I have, but in reverse, my family don't care, but I think I need it perfect. Yeah, there is that as well, where you want to do it just to excel in your own. I was of the different mindset. I just do what I enjoy. I don't try for perfection. I try to just, have fun in life. That's my goal. I mean, I'm here for a short period. I might as well enjoy what I'm doing. I don't want to spend forever working and forever unhappy. I'd rather just be content. So I always try to find the joy in everything I'm doing, no matter what job it is, no matter how menial. I'll find the good aspects about it, even though there are bad aspects. I can still find the positives and focus on the positives. But yeah, there are those who are in good situations but are perfectionists, because perfectionists, it's just a trait. Yeah, but for me, I wasn't perfectionist. I just like doing what I like doing.
You learn to stay on high alert. You never knew when your parents' mood would swing, so you would develop a constant sense of anxiety and hypervigilance. As an adult, you might find yourself constantly scanning for danger or emotional cues, never feeling truly safe. This outward scanning is a part of the chronic anxiety that makes it hard to relax, and you may struggle to trust situations or people that feel unpredictable. Number 9, you find it difficult to build intimacy. Narcissistic parents fail to model or program healthy, emotional, vulnerable relationships. As a result, children of narcissists struggle to form deep, trusting connections. As an adult, you may have deep fear of rejection, leading you to avoid intimacy or staying emotionally distant from others. Emotional detachment may become your coping mechanism as you struggle to truly open up and trust your partner. Number 10, you carry a deep-seated need for some kind of control. Growing up in a chaotic, unpredictable environment with a narcissistic parent taught you that control was the only way to feel safe. The manipulation and instability made you want to be in control of everything around you because it seemed and appeared and often was everything around you was not under your control. As an adult, you may feel compelled to control your relationships or environment to avoid emotional chaos. This need for control is often a defense mechanism to prevent the anxiety and instability you grew up with from ever resurfacing. If you're ready to finally break free and start living with clarity, peace, a grounded connection to your true self, then please join the Road to Self program. Many who've joined say it was the missing piece in their healing journey.
Good for him. Good for him. He's doing a product plug now. That's what it is. But that is tragic. That is tragic that there are people, there are families like that. And it's very common. It is very common where they literally only I don't think it's the children having children. I think it's kind of the, and again, you see it like in Asian cultures where you want the child to succeed in order to make your family look good. That's kind of the mindset where you want your child to succeed to make your family look good. In like the US, it's a little more narcissistic where you want your child to do what you feel like you wish you could do. Like, again, the pageant, the child pageants, where the parents normally wish that they could go back and live their wonder years as a kid, being beautiful, so they're pushing their children on to do it. Yeah, so it's kind of a different mindset. One's a little more well, I think they're both narcissistic in the end. They're both narcissistic, incredibly narcissistic. But there are different ways of doing it. There are always uplifting ways of encouraging your children to do better. There are. Like, my parents did a great job of encouraging me and my brothers to, like, for me, schooling was not a good option. I didn't actually learn anything. I went through elementary school and middle school. I can't tell you a gosh dang thing that I learned because I didn't learn anything. It wasn't until my parents pulled me out during high school and I was put into like independent studies. They give you your books. They give you your assignment on Monday. By Monday night, I had finished everything. I had learned everything I was supposed to learn. I had finished all my assignments. I spent Tuesday through Saturday through Sunday on the computer learning editing, learning programming, learning about Greek mythology and mythologies around the world. I was doing that for fun at that point in time because I already did my lesson plans and I wanted to study more for myself. I wasn't like the video game type person. I like to just dabble in what I wanted to learn. I spent so much time looking up articles, reading articles, and I was like 16, no, not 16. I was like 15, 16 when I finally got into that. Maybe 14, but more like 15, 16, 17. That's when I finally got into it, and absolute great time studying for myself, learning for myself. And I retained more information through that because I learned nothing in a classroom. But then again, I'm the type that doesn't really learn much in a classroom. My family also learned that I can say my family in childhood is very different than now. Yeah, they do change. They do change. Sometimes parents learn how to be a parent. Sometimes they learn through time. They might not know immediately in the beginning, but they do learn over time.
You guys got a video? So bad.
don't forget to like and subscribe.
Wait, wait, Sandra.